Smear campaigns are nothing new. Although more commonly seen in politics, anyone who's potentially in the way of another person's agenda can fall victim to this dirty PR trick. Nowadays though, malicious takedowns have taken on a whole new life online. Ushered by the rise of troll farms and artificial intelligence tools, and amplified by social media platforms, smearing someone's reputation doesn't just reach wider and last longer, it's also becoming near impossible to track down who's responsible. Social media plays an undeniable role in this new world of PR crisis management. Social media algorithms perform in such a way that it serves content it knows a specific individual is interested in, or will cause someone to react. That then creates a snowball effect as reactions build on and evolve when the algorithm surfaces content on other like-minded accounts until the information grows so big it's incredibly difficult to trace the origin anymore. Many people today still believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words, yet nothing can be further from the truth in this era of deepfakes and easily accessible, easy-to-use technology. But let's forget the fancy tech for a second and focus on how smear campaigns start. We spoke to Christopher Boozy as part of a 60 Minutes story on the feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Christopher is the CEO of Bot Sentinel. That's a research firm that tracks disinformation and inauthentic behaviour online. Christopher told 60 Minutes that even just a sliver of truth can spark the fire that sets an individual's entire reputation in flames. And by sliver, literally, you don't need the whole truth to believe that something is real. It could be a conveniently cropped photo or a video clip taken out of context. Nowadays, a completely fake photo, video, or audio clip generated through AI can be so believable the social media audience can fall for anything. From this, any narrative can be written. Once this kernel of truth is identified, it's time to plant the seed. Sometimes PR firms hire troll farms to kick off the narrative online. Troll farms can be large warehouses made up of cheap labour that operates hundreds of fake social media accounts. These social media accounts are made specifically to create a new narrative or manipulate the existing media environment around any topic. But labour costs money, no matter how cheap. This is where technology comes in. With advanced AI and automation tools now readily available, smear campaigns can completely bypass real people and just let a computer do all of the work. Christopher Boozy told us that these fabricated behaviours usually take advantage of a moment or an event that would normally organically generate public interest. In the case of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, the press tour for their film It Ends With Us was the perfect opportunity for an alleged attack. Around the time of the film's premiere, stories started floating around that were critical of actress Blake Lively. Videos on TikTok and many comments on many social media platforms accused Lively of being out of touch and lacking sensitivity around domestic violence, to alleged bullying on set. Punters on social media were quick to pounce, and suddenly the narrative was no longer about the film, but about Blake Lively's reputation. Christopher Boozy was not hired by Blake Lively, and he told 60 Minutes that from his research and assessment of the situation, it was likely that she was the target of an alleged smear campaign. Christopher Boozy told 60 Minutes that the goal of online smear campaigns is that even if it starts off with something artificial, the hope is that it spreads organically. So a campaign might have bots and trolls feed the story into algorithms. Sometimes, PR firms also leak to influencers on their Rolodex, those accounts with large and like-minded social media followers, who might be easier to sway or spin, unlike news organisations that have stricter regulations around what they can publish. Then once there's enough momentum, the narrative shifts, so much so that real people on social media begin to believe this new truth and pile on with their own real engagement. We're talking authentic comments, likes and shares that are then served onto their own followers' algorithms. While instigators are incredibly difficult to trace, there are small ways you can identify whether certain online behaviours were fabricated as part of a smear campaign. Targeted comments on social media written by accounts that are newly created, those that have low follow accounts, and those accounts that follow the same handful of accounts can be perceived as suspicious. New accounts, however, are not the only ones that should make one pause. PR firms can also make use of established accounts, especially if they've been dormant for some time. Christopher Boozy from Bot Sentinel adds that his data research firm investigates the origins of controversy to determine dishonest activity. And often, if a hot take emerges out of the blue, that is, if the targeted individual did not do or say anything that will cause the kind of reaction we're seeing, then more likely than not, someone is behind it, manipulating the situation. By its very nature, the objective of a smear campaign is to damage an individual's reputation. But despite the deliberate harm, there are no laws prohibiting this behaviour, even for those employing troll farms and other advanced technologies. Broadly, the action can fall under existing laws like those that prevent harassment or defamation. However, the greater issue in online smear campaigns is proving the individual or group behind it, because a lot of the time, they do not leave a trace. And unless the social media companies help provide this information, which they generally don't, a targeted individual is left without any legal defence to get justice. The law hasn't caught up fast enough, or simply isn't substantial enough, to provide legal protection against the misuse of new and emerging technologies. Also, legislators have not fully grasped the consequences, that the lack of laws in this area not only ruins individual lives, but can also be a threat to democracies around the world.